Craig Mazin, creator of the mini-series Chernobyl for television network HBO about the 1986 accident in Ukraine, has warned against reactionary garbage about the show, stressing that he is a supporter of nuclear energy. In an interview with Slate published on 3 June, Mazin said there had been really dumb expectations the mini-series would show three-headed babies and spread lies and tell people that nuclear power is horrendous, and no, it's not. For a million reasons, this was not an anti-nuclear polemic. It's anti-Soviet government, and it is anti-life, and it is pro-human being. But anyone who thinks the point of this is that nuclear power is bad they've just missed it. A few months before the Chernobyl accident, the Challenger space shuttle had exploded and was another example of a failure of a lot of people and institutions over a long period, Mazin said. When these things happen, we cannot immediately ask this simple question, well, which is to blame? We should presume that there's a lot to blame, and the real question is, what do we do so this doesn't happen again? That's the question worth asking. Henry Fountain, a science writer on the climate desk of the New York Times, toured the Chernobyl plant and the exclusion zone around it in 2014. In an article for the newspaper on 2 June, he wrote that the first thing to understand about the show is a lot of it is made up. The producers of the mini-series don't sanitize the disaster, Fountain wrote, but in some cases have gone too far, such as with the images of injuries caused by radiation exposure. Instead, they simplify it to meet the demands of Hollywood and production budgets. But if you didn't know much about Chernobyl, you could be forgiven if, after watching, you thought the entire response and cleanup were run by two people, Valery Legasov and Boris Shcherbina, aided valiantly by a third, Yelena Komyuk. Legasov, a member of the Academy of Sciences of the USSR, led the commission investigating the accident. Shcherbina, a vice chairman of the Council of Ministers, supervised crisis management following the crash. Komyuk is a fictitious character whose actions, Fountain wrote, were not realistic. Among the factual inventions to aid dramatic effect, Fountain included the blue light from the exposed reactor shining high into the night sky in the first episode. Yes, nuclear reactors can produce a blue hue from something called Cherenkov radiation, but no, there's no way Unit 4 would have looked like that, he added. World Nuclear Association notes that the show is a dramatization of historical events and that there has been a significant increase in web traffic to its Chernobyl information paper since the show began. World Nuclear Association added, the Chernobyl accident was severe and has resulted in long-term psychological and socio-economic impacts for the people affected. However, severe nuclear accidents are infrequent, and, even accounting for these, nuclear energy has caused far fewer deaths than any other form of electricity generation. In the 70-year history of nuclear power, there have been 3 significant major accidents: 3 Mile Island in the USA, 1979, Chernobyl in Ukraine, 1986, and Fukushima in Japan, 2011. According to the UN Scientific Committee on the Effects of Atomic Radiation, fewer than 100 people are believed to have died from radiation as a result of the Chernobyl accident to date. This is a small fraction of the deaths which are caused by other major energy sources every single year, World Nuclear Association said. Research by James Hansen, an American adjunct professor directing the program on climate science, awareness and solutions of the Earth Institute at Columbia University, found that, of the 7 million deaths every year from air pollution, 4 million are from burning fossil fuels, and the other 3 million from burning wood and dung. The USA's Nuclear Energy Institute wrote a blog, A Viewer's Guide to HBO's Chernobyl miniseries, a few days before the show was first aired. In the blog, Ney explained the difference between the events at Chernobyl and an interpretation of them for a TV drama. The miniseries correctly shows that there was an unprecedented steam explosion at Chernobyl that completely wrecked a reactor, Ney said.